In this episode, we'll explore why humans are so often restless and searching, what truly makes life satisfying, how much of our struggle comes from living in the past or the future instead of the present, and how we can bring more light than darkness into our relationships and our daily lives. Welcome to 340, the podcast where we talk about intimacy, presence, and the emotional truth behind pleasure. Today's episode is a little different. Instead of focusing on one guest or one story, I want to zoom out to reflect on some of the bigger questions that seem to come up again and again in my conversations with people, as well as in my own life. Questions like, why does humanity seem constantly anxious, restless, and searching? Why do so many of us feel empty, even when we have everything we thought we ever wanted? Why do relationships collapse, even when love is there? And what does it really mean to live with light in times that often feel heavy with darkness? So why are we restless? There are a few answers. First, delusion of control. We want to believe we can control everything, the future, other people, even death itself. But the truth is, control is fragile. And when reality breaks through, anxiety follows. Second, comparison. We measure ourselves constantly against others. Their careers, their money, their looks, their likes, and almost always it leaves us feeling smaller, not better. Third, alienation. We've built societies that are materially rich, but existentially poor, surrounded by people, but deeply lonely on the inside. Fourth, the doomsday noise. Fear sells. And so algorithms and news cycles feeds us endless crises. Wars, pandemics, collapse. It shapes a feeling that the world is always on the brink of ending. And then, the myth of more. The belief that when we just get that one thing, the promotion, the new car, the new relationship, a new trip, then we'll feel complete. But when we get there, the emptiness usually just remains. So what can we learn from this? What can we do instead? Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, writes that life only ever happens in this moment. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, now. Anxiety comes when we live in the future. Depression when we live in the past. Peace comes only when we return to the present. We can also look at research. The Harvard study of adult development, the longest study of happiness ever conducted, shows that the single most important factor for health and fulfillment is not money, it is not success, it is not fame. It is the quality of our relationships. And from my own journey, I would add a few more. Creation. When we build something, a meal that we cook for our family, a friendship, a text, a business, we feel meaning. Passive consumption, on the other hand, usually just leaves us empty. Acceptance. Pain is a part of life. Loss is a part of life. When we stop resisting pain and instead allow it, it transforms us. Gratitude and simplicity. A sunrise, a hand on your back, a good conversation, These are the real treasures.
People of the street will find a way.
So, darkness and light. I often think about the tension between darkness and light. Darkness is fear, manipulation, shame, cynicism, self absorption. It drags us down into either aggression or passivity. Light is love, trust, presence, connection, generosity. It doesn't mean naivety. Light can be sharp, even harsh, but it always uplifts. And here is the paradox. Yes, the world feels darker now. More polarization, more noise, more fear. But never before in history of humankind have so many people had the tools and the opportunities to reflect, to choose consciously, to create, and to connect across borders. The light is there, but it requires awareness. It requires choice.
People of the street will find a way.
And what about the questions of love and meaning? Most of the questions people ask me fall into two categories: love and meaning. In love, the question sounds like this: why isn't my relationship working? Why do I always feel misunderstood? Will I ever find someone who loves me for who I am? And the meaning of life is more, what should I do with my life? Why do I feel empty even though I have all I should want? How do I find direction after loss, after divorce, after collapse? These questions all come from the same root: a longing to be seen, to feel safe, to find purpose, to be loved.
People of the street will find a way.
So, what about my own journey? For me, the turning point came when I dared to turn inward. And that is the hardest step: to face my shadows instead of running from them. But when I did, I discovered that holding my shadows also allowed me to carry light for myself as well as for others. And I learned I shouldn't compare. Your path is your path. You cannot walk anyone else's path, and no one can walk yours. Balance presence with direction. Rest in the now, but keep a horizon that calls you forward. Remember the body, nature, touch, movement. They don't just support the body, they ground the soul. Cultivate stillness alongside creation. I love to build, whether it's projects, connections, businesses, but I also need to create calm for myself and for those I love around me. And share the light. You don't have to save the world, but in your family, in your relationships, your friendships, you can be a small beacon of light, and that is enough. One of the most powerful lessons for me came when I lost my best friend too early. He made me promise to live life to the fullest. And that promise still guides me. It's part of why I'm here, making this podcast, reflecting with you.
People of the street will find a way.
So, what can we take with us? Much of our restlessness comes from illusions of control, of comparison, of needing more. The antidote is presence. To live here and now, not in yesterday, not in tomorrow. Relationships are what matter most. They bring the deepest joy and the strongest health. Creation and gratitude give meaning where consumption cannot. And finally, the choice between darkness and light is always ours. Darkness pulls us into fear, shame, manipulation, and light lifts us into love, trust, presence, and connection. For me, the lesson has been clear. When I dared to turn inward, to face my own shadows, I found a strength that didn't come from hiding, but from being real, from being present. So my invitation to you is this. Look at your own life. Where are you pulled by fear? And where can you invite light instead? Face your shadows, but also dare to hold the light. Because life is too short to wait. And as Eckhart Tolle writes, realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. If this episode spoke to you, please share it, reflect on it, and let it remind you to bring more presence into your own life. Thank you for listening to 34O. Until next time, stay present, stay open, and stay human.